Each summer, there's a change in the air here in Manchester, Vermont, as the town plays host to some of the world's finest young musicians.
They come here and they're able to focus their energies entirely on one particular artistic media.
Chamber music.
Everything else emanates from that. A sense of purpose, a sense of flow, the camaraderie, the esprit de corps.
Ariel Rudiakov directs the Manchester Music Festival. For 6 weeks every summer, he helps introduce 16 promising young players to a classic form of music.
What does the term mean anyway? Well, a chamber is a room. And all the music that we play in groups of 2, 3, 4, 5, in the early days were all played in people's living rooms or very small venues. So there was little or no separation at all between artist and audience. It's sort of like being in your own little musical foxhole.
I think that chamber music is the perfect balance between being a soloist and playing in orchestra. You still get a very important role, but you're collaborating with other musicians.
Violinist Maria Jose Romero Ramos is enjoying this chance to play in a small group.
In the orchestra, I feel that my musical ideas are undermined, and I feel that a lot of orchestra players just sit back and don't stop developing their musicianship.
Violinist Dan Wenjiang is coaching an exploration of the fourth movement of Schubert's B-flat trio.
I think one has to be able to put their own ego behind and come together with everybody else and to create something that they all believe in. It's not just about playing technically perfectly or playing in your own speed or your own interpretation. It's all about teamwork.
Being part of a trio has given Nicholas Reynolds some new skills.
I've learned a lot, how to listen a lot better. I think that's one of the hardest things for pianists because usually we come into chamber music as soloists first. It's really important for musicians to make connections. And already I've met so many new people. This will further enrich my life, I think, and hopefully theirs.
And group chemistry can happen immediately. Group chemistry can never happen, sometimes. That's why so many professional string quartets have such a short shelf life. It's much harder to keep them together than it is to prevent them from falling apart.
Music, and I think classical music especially, is a life-changing experience.
That's what I think is really spectacular about it. I play it so differently than someone else might play it.
Playing classical music is a very vulnerable thing. You expose your emotions in a way that no other activity in our days, in our present days, does.
For the past 16 years, the International Drum Camp KOSA has been bringing masters and students together for a week-long percussion workshop that is like no other.
What inspired me was going to a camp once and meeting some of the great percussionists and drummers who were my heroes. And it takes us back to the original way people would learn. They'd go and live with a master and do everything possible, and then they would share their knowledge over time.
Each year, KOSA puts on a public concert. It was there 4 years ago that Tally Satlow first heard the steel pan.
We liked the way it sounded and we thought it was really cool, so my mom, her dream was that someday I would come back here and try that.
Tally, KOSA's youngest female student, primarily played an ancient hand drum called the darbuka. She enrolled with KOSA to expand her repertoire.
First I was really scared because I didn't know what to expect. Everyone's actually really supportive and helps each other.
There's no egos. When you walk into a classroom, you just play because you love to play. You don't play to show how much you know.
I feel steel pan adds to the KOSA experience because anyone can do it. Because in Trinidad, you basically learn by rote, which means I play a phrase, and then we have to learn it back. You're not reading music. All students, once they come in and they start to experience it, they feel the joy of the sound and the rhythm of the music. And again, rhythm is rhythm no matter what you play it.
Being exposed to all this energy and the new types of percussion that you can discover and just all of it, it's love and everyone can feel it, and It's not as intimidating as I thought it would be. It's really fun.
There's way more to learn here than just drumming. The first class, they talked a lot about taking risks and opening your heart to the generosity of the things that are here.
Participants, what we want them to come away with, what is possible, what that they may not have thought of.
She was excited and she came out a totally different person, and the passion for drumming.
Also discovering musics, techniques, people, concepts, ideas that weren't even on their radar. We live in one world and you're speaking one language at the end of the day.
Look for all of VPT's Music in the Mountains episodes at vpt.org.
It's early morning, time for another busy day at summer camp. But for the members of the Vermont Youth Orchestra, the first activity on the schedule isn't a hike in the woods, but a full-on rehearsal of Gustav Mahler. This is Reveille Camp, and it's not about bows and arrows, but bows and violins, cellos and basses too.
What we have at this camp is this fantastic opportunity to start off our year together. Probably about a third of my orchestra are new. It's their first year. So it's a chance for us to really build a community together. And I think music, a central part of music is that it's an activity where people build communities, they build relationships with each other.
The real focus here is kicking off the season on a great note, no pun intended, and working really hard and getting to know one another and getting to know your conductors, and just really sort of jumping in with both feet and all instruments.
And although camp has an obvious laid-back attitude, the music and the approach towards it are serious stuff.
So right now it's good, it's rhythmic, it's together, but it's too loud.
Campers come from all over Vermont and some surrounding states, often returning year after year to continue honing their craft.
It's a very high-level group. It's challenging, but it's doable.
Get better at your instrument and be fond with playing with more people.
It's kind of fun to be able to play with other kids because I've never really had that experience before coming here.
It was just so much fun and I learned so much.
It's not just about the playing, however. If you want to learn how to write your own music, composer-in-residence Rob Patterson is ready to help.
Why is Mozart different than Bach? And why is Bach different than Frank Zappa? You know, and so we'll do experiments where I'll let them write some crazy chords and crazy things that aren't really part of the old style of doing it. And they'll see why it works and why it doesn't work. And so it's kind of like being on a playground and letting kids scrape their knees. So I let them musically scrape their knees.
How about trying your hand at conducting? Director Demoto will gladly hand over the baton. And no, this is not science class, but something called body mapping. Today's lesson is on proper breathing.
Those of you that don't play a wind instrument, is that the way you normally breathe? No? Really? Okay. So what did you do that was different?
By late afternoon, it's back to practice. There's more Mahler to rehearse for the big public concert at the end of the week.